Hey friends, my name is Z and you're watching Yi Makes It Easy. And welcome to a new video for IGCSE Business Studies, and today we have 2.3, which is recruitment, selection and the training of employees. And by the end of the lesson, you should be able to describe 2.3.1, recruitment and selecting employees, 2.3.2, the importance of training and the methods of training, 2.3.3, why reducing the size of the workforce might be necessary, and 2.3.4, the legal controls over employment issue and their impact on employers and employees. So check out the pinned comment for all the timestamps. But we'll move on now to 2.3.1, which is the recruitment and selection of employees. And here's the work of the Human Resource Department or HR department. Recruitment and employee selection are the most familiar roles of the HR department, but there are several others such as training meeting, legal requirements regarding employment, and being responsible for the redundancy and dismissal, which is important to them. So here you can see what HR department is responsible for: recruitment and selection, wages and salaries, industrial relations, training programs, health and safety, and redundancy or retrenchment and dismissal. Then we have recruitment and selection process. Businesses need to start the process of recruitment and selection when an employee leaves their job and they need to be replaced, or it's a new business starting up and they need employees, or it is like a successful business and wants to expand by employing more people. In a large business, this process of recruiting and selecting staff is usually undertaken by the HR department. But in small businesses, they do not recruit enough people to make it worthwhile to have a separate HR department, and often the managers who will be supervising the employee will deal with the recruitment for their own department. So here's like the process of recruitment and selection. Then we have recruitment process, job analysis and job description. I will skim through this. So what this is basically that job analysis identifies and records the responsibilities and tasks relating to a job, and the job description outlines the responsibilities and duties to be carried out by someone who is employed to do a specific job. And the first stage of the recruitment process is to carry out a job analysis to study the task and activities to be carried out by the new employee. And once the job has been analyzed with job analysis, a job description will be produced. And it has several functions, such as it's given to the applicant for the job so they know exactly what the job entails. It will allow a job specification to be drawn up to see if the applicants match up to the job specification. And once someone has been employed, it can show whether or not they have been carrying out the job effectively using the job specification. And the job description often also contains information about the conditions of the employment, like these stuff right here, training that will be offered, and opportunities for promotion for the employees. Then we have job specification. Once the job description has been drawn up, the qualifications and qualities necessary to undertake the job can be specified. This list of desirable and essential requirements for the job is called a job or person specification. The requirements will usually include the level of educational qualifications, the amount of experience or the amount of years of experience and the type of experience, special skills, knowledge or particular aptitude, and personal characteristics such as a type of personality by doing a personality test. Then we have difference between internal and external recruitment. And for internal recruitment, the post could be filled from inside the organization, which is internal. It's quite obvious, internal. And the vacancy may be advertised on the company's notice board or in the company's newspaper. So advantage of internal recruitment is that it's quicker and cheaper than external recruitment, which may involve expensive advertising. The person is already known to the business and their reliability, ability and potential are known. The person also knows how the organization works and its structure and what's expected from its employees, and it can be very motivating for employees to see their fellow workers being promoted. But disadvantage includes there's no new ideas or experience come into the business. There may be rivalry among existing employees and jealousy towards the worker who gains promotion. and the quality of internal candidates might be low. Then we have external recruitment, and some businesses use mainly external recruitment, and this involves advertising the vacancy beyond the business itself, and the business has to advertise its vacancy, and advertising job vacancies can be done in several ways. Let's see right here. Number one, local newspaper for like jobs which don't require high skill levels. National newspaper for jobs like senior positions where there may be few local people with the right experience and skills and qualifications. Specialist magazines, and it's usually to be used for specialist technical employee like a scientist. Recruitment sites like this offer the ability to create online job adverts for vacant positions in a business like LinkedIn. Recruitment agencies, and these are specialists in recruiting employees, and they will advertise usually by means of their website and interview people. And centers run by government like job centers, and these are places where job vacancies can be advertised, and details of vacancies are given to the interested people, and the vacancies are usually for unskilled and semi-skilled jobs. Then we have job advertisement for external recruitment. When drawing up a job advertisement, the business will need to ask itself the following questions. Number one, what should be included in the advert? Where should the advertisement be placed? And how much will the advertising cost, and is it within the budget of the HR department? And the methods of application. It requires the applicant to apply in writing, like application form, or a letter of application with CV or resume. And a CV should be well laid out and clear, and usually contain the following details: name, address, telephone number, email address, nationality, education and qualifications, your work experience, positions of responsibility, interests, name and address of referees. And the letter of application should outline briefly why the applicant want the job, and why the applicant feel he or she would be suitable for the job. Then the methods of selection. The applicants who are shortlisted and invited for interview will have provided the names and address of referees, and these are people who will be asked to provide a reference to them. And if the applicant is a school leaver, for example, it's normal to give the school as a referee. And the main purpose of an interview are to assess, in the shortest time possible, the applicant's ability to do the job, any personal qualities that are an advantage or disadvantage, and the general character and personality of the applicant, like whether if they will fit in. Some businesses include tests in their selection process, for example, the skills test to show the ability of the candidate to carry out certain tasks, aptitude tests to show the candidate's ability or potential to gain additional skills, personality tests to use to detect or test the particular type of person is required for the job, and group situation tests to give tasks to applicants to complete in the job situations or in your group situations, and your group is observed closely. Then we have recommending and justifying who to employ in given circumstances. And the final decision of which worker to employ depends on several factors: work experience and how important it is that the worker has direct experience of the job, educational and other qualifications, and are these essential for filling the job, like a doctor. Age, is youth of experience more important, like experience of life more important. However, businesses must be careful not to break any age discrimination law that may exist in their country. And internal, how important it is that the applicant has good understanding of the business and how it operates. And external, how important it is that the new worker has experience and skills gained from outside the business. And the relative importance of these and other factors will depend on the circumstances, and it is important to understand the type and the size of the business being considered and the nature of the job vacancy. And rejecting unsuccessful applicants. When the suitable or successful applicant has been offered the job and has accepted it, the unsuccessful applicants should be informed that they have not got the job and thanked for applying. Then we have benefits and limitations of part-time and full-time employees. I'll skim through this. Part-time employment is often considered to be within 1 to 30 or 35 hours a week, and full-time employees are usually like 35 hours a week or more in a week, and there's no specific number. And benefits to a business of employing a part-time employees are they are more flexible in the hours of work, easier to ask employees to just work at busy times, easier to extend their business operating hours, reduces business costs on comparing to employing and paying a full-time employee, and in some countries it is easier to make part-time workers redundant. But limitations of part-time employees include it's less likely to seek training because employees may see the job as temporary. It takes longer to recruit 2 part-time workers than 1 full-time employee. Part-time employees can be less committed on the business, less likely to be promoted as they won't have gained the same skills as full-time employees, and it's more difficult to communicate with them. Then we have 2.3.2, the importance of training and methods of training. So here's the importance of training to a business and to employees. There should be a clear objective for training employees, and training is important to a business as it may be used to introduce a new process or new equipment, improve the efficiency of the workforce and reduce waste, provide training for unskilled workers to make them more valuable to the company, decrease the supervision needed, improve the opportunity for internal promotion, and decrease the chances of accidents. And here's an important thing. Employees should be clear about the benefits of the training and they will not work hard to take the training seriously. And training is usually trying to achieve one or more of the following. Number 1, to increase skills, to increase knowledge, or to improve employees' attitude to encourage them to accept change and raise awareness, like a need to improve customer service. Then we have the main types of training. There are 3 main types: induction, on-the-job training, and off-the-job training. And induction training is carried out when an employee is new to the job, and when a new employee starts at the company, they will not know where or anything is, or who the people are, or what is expected of them. And the induction program will last for sometimes a day or 2, or several days, and it depends on the company and the particular job. Like for example, when a person starts a new school, they are shown around, introduced to teachers, and told about their lessons. And this is the same type of information you would need to know if you have just joined a new company. Advantage is that it helps the new employees to settle in, or it may be a legal requirement to give health and safety training, or there will be less mistakes from the workers. But disadvantage includes it's time consuming. It means wages are paid but no work is being done by the worker, and it delays the start of employee. Then we have on-the-job training, and this is where a person is trained by watching a more experienced worker doing the job. They are shown what to do, and this method of training is only suitable for unskilled and semi-skilled jobs. Advantage include individual tuition is given and it is in the workplace, so the employee doesn't need to be sent away. It ensures there is some production from the worker while they are training. Usually it costs less than off-the-job training, and it is training tailored to the specific needs of the business, like employees do tasks how the business wants them to do. But disadvantage includes the trainer won't be as productive as usual because they are showing the trainee what to do instead of getting on with their job. The trainer may have bad habits and they may pass these on to the trainee, and it may not lead the trainee qualifications recognized outside the business. Then we have off-the-job training, and this is where the worker goes away from the place where they work, and this may be to a different part of the building, or it may be at a different place altogether, such as a college or specialist training center. Advantage includes there's a broad range of skills that can be taught, and if these courses are taught in the evening after work, they are cheaper for the business as employee will still carry out their normal duties during the day. Business will only need to pay for the course. Employees may be taught a variety of skills, becoming multi-skilled and more versatile. And it often uses expert trainers who have up-to-date knowledge and like business practices. But disadvantage includes the costs are high. It means wages are paid but no work is being done by the worker. And the additional qualifications mean it is easier for the employee to leave and find another job as they have training and more versatile. Then we have 2.3.3, why reducing the size of the workforce might be necessary. And workforce planning is where a business decides on the type and the number of employees needed in the future. The number required will depend upon the business sales forecast, its future plans like expansion or automation, and its objectives like introducing a new type of products or whatever. Often businesses will require additional employees when they are expanding, but sometimes they will need to downsize the workforce due to introduction of automation, fallen demand for their goods and services, factory, shop or office closure, relocating their factory abroad, and lastly, if a business has merged or been taken over and some jobs have become surplus to requirements in the newly combined business. And here's another information. The HR department can plan how to downsize the workforce by finding out the skills of all the present employees, not including anyone who will be leaving soon, like retirement or any others, consulting with existing staff as to who could and would want to be trained to fill the new jobs, and preparing a recruitment plan to show how many new staffs will be needed and how they should be recruited, whether it's internally or externally. If a business needs to reduce the number of employees, this can be done in either of two ways: dismissal or redundancy. And workers may also leave their jobs because they retire, because they're getting older, or they resign, or because they have found another job. And dismissal is when employment is ended against the will of the employee, usually not for not working in accordance with the employment contract. And this is where the worker is told to leave the job because the work or behavior is unsatisfactory. For example, the employee who was constantly late for work despite being given warnings. The key thing here is despite being given warnings. In some countries, an employee can take the business to court if they are unfair, they feel like they were unfairly dismissed. Therefore, a business needs to make sure that it has followed all the laws or the labor laws in this country before dismissing a worker, or else they'll be sued. Redundancy is when an employee is no longer needed so that it loses their job. It is not due to any aspect of their work being unsatisfactory. It may be due to the period of falling sales resulting from an economic recession. When an employee is redundant, they may be given some money to compensate for their losing of their job. In some countries, this is laid down in law, like the employer have to give 1 week's wages for every year that the employee has worked for in the business. Then redundancy, which worker may to make redundant. The following factors help a business to decide which worker to make redundant and which to retain. Number one, some workers may volunteer to be redundant and be happy to be redundant as they may have another job or to go and retire or to start their own business. The length of time employed by the business, because workers who have worked for the business for a long time and are often retained, as they will have the most experience and most expensive to make redundant if redundancy payments are made. Number three, workers with essential skills that are needed by the business or whose skills could be transferable to other departments are often retrained. And number four, employment history of the worker, whether they have good or poor attendance, punctuality or appraisal record. And then lastly, which department of the business need to lose workers and which need to retain workers. And lastly, 2.3.4, the legal controls over employment issues and their impacts. And here's legal controls over employment issue. In many countries, governments have passed laws that affect the relationship between the employers and employees. The most important employee issue affected by the legal controls are employment contracts, unfair dismissal, discrimination, health and safety, legal minimum wage, and the contract of employment. In many countries in the world, it is a legal requirement for employers to provide a new employee with a contract of employment to sign. It will set up the terms of the relationship between the employee and the employer, and it will usually be set up in writing and include the name of the employer and the name of the employee, job title, date when employment is to begin, and hours to be worked, rate of pay, and other benefits such as bonus and sick pay and pension, where payment will be made, holiday entitlement, and the amount of notice that the employer or the employee must give to end the employment. Then we have impacts of employment contracts on employers and employees. So here's number one. Both employers and employees know what is expected of them, and provides some security of employment to the employee. And if the employee does not meet the conditions of the contract, then legal dismissal is allowed. And number 4, if the employer fails to meet the conditions of the contract, but it does not offer the holidays the worker is entitled to, then the employee can seek legally binding compensation. An unfair dismissal, and this occurs when an employer ends a worker's contract of employment for a reason that is not covered by the contract. This may be reasons for that discrimination, or it might be that an employer wants to reduce workers' number but does not want to pay redundancy compensation. Unfair dismissal is illegal in many countries, and the worker has the right either to compensation or to be offered their previous job back by taking the case to an industrial tribunal. An industrial tribunal is a type of law court that makes judgment on disagreements between companies and their employees. So basically what this is that it's basically covered in the labor laws, that unfair dismissal is illegal and it can be taken into the law. And here's unfair dismissal, the impacts on employer and employee. Employer must keep very accurate records of the worker's performance if they want to claim that the employee has broken the contract of employment before dismissing them. Employees have security of employment as long as they fulfill their contract and are not made redundant. Allows employees to take their employer to an industrial tribunal if they feel they have been treated unfairly. It makes a business less likely to treat employees unfairly, as they know that they may be taken to an industrial tribunal and may have to pay the compensation or give the employee their job back. And here's protection against discrimination. Discrimination at work is when the employer makes decisions that are based on unfair reasons. The main examples are when the workers are treated differently because they are different race, like religion, opposite sex, and are considered too old or young, which is basically age, and are disabled in some way. In most countries, many of these forms of discrimination are illegal, and if they were not illegal, many sections of society would find it very difficult to gain jobs or to achieve promotion at work. And here's impacts of discrimination on employers and employees. Employees should be treated equally in the workplace when being recruited, and if a man and woman are both equally well qualified for a job, they should be treated equally. And employees who have a disability or are from different races or of different religions should be treated the same way as other workers. Employees have to be careful when wording an advertisement for job. When selecting an employee for a job, an employer must treat all applicants equally. And by following these laws carefully, businesses should recruit and promote staff on merit alone, and this should help to increase motivation at work. And health and safety. Many years ago, most employers cared little for the safety of the employees or the workers, but now it's important to ensure that health and safety at work are top-notch. And one reason for this is that many laws have been passed that have forced them to improve health and safety at work. And in most countries, there are now laws which make sure that all employers protect the workers from dangerous machinery, provide safety equipment and clothing, maintain reasonable workplace temperatures, provide hygienic conditions and washing facilities, and do not insist on excessively long shifts, and provide breaks in the work timetable. And here's impact of health and safety on employers and employees. Number 1, the cost to employer of meeting the health and safety regulations, like better firefighting equipment. The time needs to be found to train workers in health and safety precautions. The workers feel safer and more motivated at work, like the Hertzberg working conditions, and reduces accident rate and the cost of compensation for workers injured at work. It is worthwhile to keep employees safe and healthy, as they will be more motivated, work more effectively, and stay with the business for a longer period of time. For these reasons, some employers in countries where there are weak health and safety laws will still provide working conditions of a very high safety standards. The managers of these firms have taken an ethical decisions. Unfortunately, in some countries, there are employers that still take advantage of workers by offering little protection from danger and ill health or exploitation of workers. And then here's legal minimum wage. and the workers have a right to be paid for the work they do for employers, there should be a written agreement between worker and employer, which is the contract of employment, which will contain the details not only for the hours of work and the nature of the job, but also the wage to be paid, how frequently the wage will be paid, and what deductions will be made from the wages, like income tax. In some countries, employers can pay whatever wage rate they like, and increasingly, the governments are taking action against employers that pay low wages. This action often takes the form of legal minimum wage, and a minimum wage exists in parts of China and India and in the USA, basically around the world. A minimum wage makes it illegal for an employer to pay an hourly rate below the minimum wage set. And the impact of legal minimum wage on employers and employees. Number one, it should prevent strong employers from exploiting unskilled workers. As many unskilled workers will not be receiving higher wages, it might encourage employers to train them to make sure they are more productive. Number three, it will encourage more people to seek work, and there should be fewer shortages of workers. Number four, low-paid workers will earn more and will have a higher standard, like living standards, meaning they will be able to afford and to buy more stuff. And this one here, it increases the business cost, which will force them to increase prices. Some employers will not be able to afford these wage rates, and they may make workers redundant instead, and unemployment may rise. And other workers receiving just above the minimum wage level may ask for higher wages to keep the same differential between themselves and lower paid workers, and business costs will again increase. And here's lastly some definitions for 2.3 recruitment, selection, training of employees. Recruitment is a process from identifying that the business needs to employ someone up to a point at which applicants have arrived at the business or applications. Employee selection. Employee selection is a process of evaluating candidates for a specific job and selecting an individual for employment based on the needs of the organization. Job analysis identifies and records the responsibilities and tasks relating to a job. Job description outlines the responsibilities and duties to be carried out by someone employed to do a specific job. Job specification is a document which outlines the requirements, qualifications and expertise, physical characteristics, etc. for a specific job or specified job. Internal recruitment is when a vacancy is filled by someone who is an existing employee of the business. External recruitment is when a vacancy is filled by someone who is not an existing employee and will be new to the business. Part-time employment is often considered to be between 1 and 30 to 35 hours a week, and full-time employees will usually work 35 hours or more a week. Then we have induction training. Induction training is an introduction given to a new employee, explaining the business activities, customs and procedures, and introducing them to their fellow workers. On-the-job training it occurs when they're watching a more experienced worker doing the job. Off-the-job training involves being trained away from the workplace, usually by specialist trainers. Workforce planning is establishing the workforce needed for the business or by the business for the foreseeable future in terms of the number and skills of employees required. Dismissal is when employment is ended against the will of the employee, usually for not working in accordance with the employment contract. Redundancy is when an employee Redundancy is when an employee is no longer needed and so loses their job. It is not due to any aspect of the work being unsatisfactory. Contract of employment is a legal agreement between an employer and employee, enlisting the rights and responsibilities of the workers. An industrial tribunal is a type of law court, or in some countries a legal meeting, that makes judgment on disagreements, like for example a worker's complaint of an unfair dismissal or discrimination at work. And lastly, here's ethical decisions. An ethical decision is a decision taken by a manager or a company because of the moral code observed by the firm. And that's it for the specification 2.3 for recruitment, selection, training of employees for IGCSE Business Studies. And I hope you guys found it useful, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe and comment down below if you have any questions or criticisms. And also check out my Instagram in the link in the description for more daily content. And I hope you guys find it useful and helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Until then, stay safe and happy learning.